do it.
Let me start by talking to you about what exactly do digital experts like yourself mean when you're talking digital, because digital clearly is different things to different people. So what exactly can it be clubbed under a broad heading?
Sure. So digital definitely means different things to different people. So I have the analogy of the 5 blind men feeling the elephant. If you talk to the business leaders, they tell you that digital is the whole Uber, Airbnb experience. You go to the operations folks, they'll tell you it's like the Amazon one-click button experience. And if you go to the IT guys, they'll tell you it's all about mobility, social media, how you interact with the customers. But the way you should look at digital, in my opinion, is 2 ways. One, can digital be used to enhance your experience with the customers? 2, can digital be used to improve your processes and reduce cycle time? For me, that's digital. How you interact with customers, can you improve it? Second, can you reduce operational costs and improve customer experience through digitization? That's how I describe digital.
Through all the conversations that have taken place today, one thing that I possibly understood or took away from that was that digital and technology cannot be top down. It cannot be something that only the CEO, for example, is enforcing. So how do you ensure, and what advice would you have for the viewers of our show about how digital can perhaps be more pervasive, can be built into the company's strategy as well?
So first and foremost, I think when you look at digital, for it to be pervasive, you have to get every employee to understand what it means to be digital. And especially in an analog company, it's important that employees start thinking about automation first. That's a simple way to bring in digital in the organization. If you are taking X number of hours to do any process, can you reduce it by bringing in automation? Simple examples. That brings it down and makes it real for every employee to mean what it means to use digital. Second, every customer-facing employee now needs to start thinking about, are there different ways, digital ways to interact with the customer? If you can get those two accomplished, you will start seeing changes in the organization. And the best way, one of the questions I always get asked is, how do you fund digital programs? And the best way to get digital programs funded is by adopting digitization. Once you start reducing cycle times and reducing process time, you can start funding digital programs. For us, for example, for us in Mphasis, when we go talk to a customer about digital, we tell them, okay, here is the cost of the project, but don't worry about it. You can fund it yourselves by first taking the savings you get, investing it back into savings, digital, and then you invest back again. So you start with a 25% savings, increase it to 50, increase to 75, and over a period of 3 years, you will see that you have entirely self-funded a digital program.
Okay, so that's interesting, and you're talking about cost, and I want to just take that point forward, but talk about cost when it comes to the implementation of technology. I know there are great tools like IoT, SaaS that MSMEs particularly, or entrepreneurs, can tap into, but a lot of our viewers tell us that they don't necessarily have the funds which are required for technology. In a situation like that, what would your advice be?
So my first thing is, any new program, any new thing you do in the company, start thinking digital. You do not have to look at existing infrastructure. I was recently talking to a business leader who said that for all new programs, he's not going to rely on his existing IT program, but he's going to implement it all on the cloud. So as an example of a new program, you're not funding it separately, but the new program is completely done on digital. So as an example how you do. So all new programs should be done in digital. Second is, when you look at an existing program, you should have some idea of what savings you can get from digital. And you should look at your cash flow over a period of 12 to 18 months as opposed to looking at the cash flow in a small period of time. Now that's hard for entrepreneurs to say, look, we're looking at where they can meet their next month's bills to see, oh, you think of the long term. But you have to think at least 12 to 18 months if you want to really look at thinking and how you can reduce costs using digital.
Okay, so that's interesting, and I also want to talk about how, in your opinion, we can ensure that, so for example, India has about 36 million MSMEs as we speak. The government is going all out to push Make in India, for example. How can companies work closer and more closely with the legislation that exists when it comes to the use of technology, and you wish that certain policies, for example, in India would be slightly different?
So first and foremost, I think more importantly, I think digital, we should lead every initiative with digital first. Now, whether it's the government, whether it's the small independent business that starts doing any business, start thinking digital. So every initiative, every program that you need to start with doing with digital. That's number one. Second, from a legislation perspective, I think the biggest thing you can do is make some of the digital infrastructure cheaper, better for entrepreneurs to start using. Now, for example, how do you make cloud more adoptable in the marketplace? Today there is no incentive, no subsidies on that front. Now we have a lot of subsidies on the farming side. Why can't we have digital subsidies to get MSCs to adopt more of the newer technologies? That could be one creative way to get people to adopt more digital, because there's no future without digital.
That's a wrap on our Global Eye segment tonight, bringing you the best practices and industries across the globe. Do remember, if you're a company that wants to be featured on the show, have any query about any aspect of your business, you can write in to us at Leaders of Tomorrow @times